So ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new news roundup video. I know quite soon after yesterday's video, go check that out. If you haven't done so already, we go over every recent interview, big detail, if you will, that James Gunn said about the upcoming DCU. But in today's video, oh man, has James Gunn heard my pleas, considering I'm getting married around the time we thought the trailer for Superman was coming out? Well, we've got a huge update on the Superman trailer, which feels like every video at the minute, but man, this has made me pretty happy, granted selfishly happy. You may be scared in the title with regards to the Batman Part 2. We will get into that, as well as some other news in this video, but let's dive straight into the Superman trailer update. So this is coming from Collider, an exclusive. So they say we may finally know when the first Superman trailer is arriving. So just skipping past the first couple of lines there, they say that Gunn has teased that it won't be long before we get footage of Corin Sweat in action, and now Collider can exclusively report that the trailer is tentatively expected to arrive online around mid-December. We're also hearing that it's scheduled to appear in theaters with Disney's Mufasa: The Lion King, though nothing is set in stone. So this, for me, I know, so if you're new here, we thought that the trailer could be coming out at CCXP Brazil, a big convention. It's a great opportunity to show it, but then Gunn said, yeah, I can't make CCXP. He tried to make it work. Peter Safran isn't appearing there. So it looked like, oh, are they really gonna, show the trailer there? We even spoke about that at the beginning of yesterday's video, but after I published that video, as per the blessing and curse on this channel, a couple of hours later, we got this update. Now, I really hope this is true. I know you want the trailer as soon as possible, but for me, as I've said a billion times, I'm getting married on December 6th, so if it dropped at CCXP, I wouldn't have been able to cover it. But mid-December, so like December 15th, or possibly the 19th, getting closer to the release date of Mufasa: The Lion King, which I think is releasing on the 20th, is amazing news for me. And it may suck for the rest of you, but for me, I'm very, 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 very happy hearing that. Now, this is just a rumor. For all I know, I just want to put it out there. This could be debunked by Gunn by the time I'm posting it. I hope not. I think he's going to remain quiet on it. Fingers crossed. But this does make a lot of sense because guess what December 15th is? It is the anniversary of Superman 1978. So with Collider hearing from one of their sources that the trailer could be coming out mid-December, what more perfect of a date than the anniversary of Superman 1978? And it also makes sense to release the trailer online on December 15th because then that can appear in theaters, with the pre-roll trailer ads when you go and see a movie in front of the new Lion King movie, which is also another perfect opportunity for the Superman trailer to debut because, a lot of families will go see that movie and, they'll see what Superman will be all about. And, Superman, even though this is in James Gunn's DCU, we're going to get some R-rated things and whatnot, Superman will still be like a family-friendly movie. So getting that impression before The Lion King will be a perfect opportunity as well. It's just that it might release on YouTube, on the official Warner Brothers Productions channel ahead of time by maybe a few days. So I'm thinking December 15th, the anniversary of Superman 1978, or maybe around December 19th, literally right before the new Lion King movie. We don't truly know right now. I am praying that this is true because, oh man, don't get me wrong, I see a lot of people get it mixed up in the comments. I'm very happy to be getting married. I really, really am. Obviously, it's just that with arguably one of the biggest, things that I follow and provide videos about on this channel being Gunn's Superman movie, that would be a little bit of a sting if I couldn't cover it until a week afterwards. So let's hope that this is true, at least for me. But the next big story we need to talk about with regards to the DCU is something a lot of you were commenting about on my video yesterday, as per the blessing and curse on this channel, and that is an update, quite a big one, on the Sergeant Rock movie for the DCU. So this was actually first first reported by Nexus Point News. Another huge W for Nexus Point News here in terms of their credibility, their reliability, because you have all of these other major outlets like Deadline here saying Daniel Craig and Luca Guadagnino eyeing post-queer reteam in DC Studios' Sergeant Rock. And, you know, I wonder if this is one of the greenlit and near greenlit projects Gunn was referring to that I covered in yesterday's video. Long story short, he went through the lineup, release order of the initial DCU projects, so Creature Commandos, Superman, so on and so forth, and he says, and a couple of movies greenlit and near greenlit. So maybe he was referring to one of those being Sergeant Rock. So Deadline continued to say here that no deals have been inked between DC Studios, Craig, and Guadagnino. Script details are under wraps with no word on which issue or issues of Sergeant Rock the new project is based on. Now, the reason why I call this insane is because having someone like Daniel Craig play Sergeant Rock in a movie for the DCU would be really huge star power. And the thing is, he's actually a really, really good casting for the role. Now, before everyone says it, or a lot of people, because I've seen it before, you know, what the hell is Sergeant Rock? Why do I care about that? Why is the DCU doing a lineup like this? You know, we've got the Authority. Why do I care about that? Sergeant Rock. Believe it or not, I think this could be a really, really cool movie, especially with what we know about Sergeant Rock, what we even briefly saw with G.I. Robot in the Creature Commandos trailer, getting into the DCU's past, it being this kind of own little self-contained story in the DCU's past with Daniel Craig, and who knows what else they could put in there. I know some of you may not see the vision right now, but let me put it this way. I don't think that they would pursue this just for the sake of it. Like, hey, yeah, let's just do a random story about Sergeant Rock, even though it would do really bad, right? No, I think they have a lot of confidence in this, which is why you're reading major articles like this talking about the director and Daniel Craig being eyed for the role. Now, I do want to stress that just because they're saying Daniel Craig is reteaming with Luca Guadagnino, it doesn't mean that he's going to accept the role. Like, we heard this before, and we've even heard Josh Brolin talk about how he was offered the role of Hal Jordan, but he turned it down. Maybe this could end in a similar way, but either way, you know, what we can take out of this is that it's another DCU project that's making moves behind the scenes. You know, it's getting some steam and momentum, so hopefully we'll hear more about this in the next few weeks or maybe even a couple of months. We'll have to wait and see, but let me know what you think about that. Now, next up, we've got another little update here, just a brief one from James Gunn on Threads with this user saying, James Gunn was curious, do you have any ideas for how Deathstroke could potentially work in the DCU? And are there plans for him at all? Gunn says yes and yes. So not only does he know how he could potentially work, he also confirms yes to there are plans for him. So this is something we basically have already been feeling out for a while. I've been going over for the past couple of years since Gunn teased this, as in like 2 years ago, you know, with emojis on Twitter when he came in as CEO of DC Studios. It was just 2 years later when we got this Hollywood Reporter article talking about Batman villains Bane and Deathstroke getting a movie treatment at DC Studios. Now, you guys know my thoughts about this. It's even being speculated that this isn't actually just a duo movie, and that Bane and Deathstroke are just two characters, maybe the standout characters of a larger group of characters in a movie, and that could very well be the Secret Six. So that was another major trade talking about Deathstroke. So I think that there is definitely something to this. What's more encouraging is that Gunn didn't so much as debunk it at all. So, you know, just a little bit of an update on the Deathstroke story there in the DCU and what could be happening with his character. I really hope to learn more. I'm a big fan of Deathstroke. I kind of want him to be a villain for the Titans, though, with maybe whatever Anna Noguera is cooking up with her Teen Titans script, and hopefully that's another one of the greenlit or near greenlit projects that Gunn was referring to. But just because Deathstroke could appear in another project, it doesn't mean that this wouldn't kind of segue or like backdoor pilot him into the Titans movie with already a bit of exposition in the universe. Plus, another thing to mention is, who knows what order these projects will come out in, because Gunn said it's always about when the script is ready, when the story is ready, and that is only when projects will go from like active development into greenlit production. Now, another little brief update here is to do with Lanterns. So a few days ago now, Nexus Point News again have confirmed that Purna Jagannathan, I probably butchered that, joins the cast of HBO Lanterns. Now, we did hear about this before when it was a bit of a scoop from Nexus Point News. But as per usual, you know, the major trades here, like Deadline, are also reporting it, even though Nexus Point News got that scoop quite a while back now. And this, you know, I'm very intrigued about these characters because I recommend watching my, Is This the Big Bad of the DCU video I uploaded not so long ago. I'll provide that link at the end of this video and a top pinned comment. But she is described as effortlessly confident and poised in any setting, even those where she stands out. She is every bit as composed and cunning as the influential men around her. And she's playing the character of Zoe, who is actually going to be the wife, I believe, of Garrett Dillahunt's character. And now we know that his name isn't Dylan, that was just a code name, and he's playing the role of William Mason. And the reason why I brought up that other video that I did a week or so ago is because he's described as a self-righteous, conspiracy-minded man who masks his ruthless ambition behind a charming and calculated facade. And what we heard about him from Nexus Point News is that he's one of the antagonists of the series. So we also know that Zoe, with this new confirmed casting, will potentially be a love interest of Jon Stewart's, and there might be a little bit of an affair going on there, and she might spill some of the beans, some of the details, if you will, with whatever weird stuff, the community secrets that are emerging in this town that Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart go to investigate with regards to this murder in the American heartland. And that's how we have Sheriff Kelly coming into it, that she's going to liaise with the Lanterns, and she's apparently a love interest to Hal Jordan, so there's two love interests for both Lanterns in this series. But yeah, I think she may know stuff about what could possibly be a ramp up with this ancient, terrifying horror that will lead into the DCU Chapter 1, Big Bad, possibly being the center, and maybe there's some weird culty stuff going on in this town with William Mason, and Zoe, his wife, may know a few details about that and talk to Jon Stewart about it under the duvet, if you know what I mean. But let me know your thoughts on that. It's a bit of a rehash of some of the details before, but, you know, interesting stuff nonetheless. Now, before we get into some of the Batman news, we've got a couple of other little teeny tiny DCU updates. One here from Collider with regards to Peacemaker Season 2. So their article gets into how, from what we know, considering Peacemaker's background with Rick Flag Sr.'s son, Rick Flag Jr., when the pair first met in Gunn's 2021 film, The Suicide Squad, the senior Rick will likely come to blows with John Cena's titular character in the next batch of episodes. During their chat, Weintraub asked Grillo what it was like to take on the bulking ex-professional wrestler, with Grillo sharing, "I've always fought bigger guys than me, but he's a big dude. He is a big dude." When it comes to the relationship between the pair, while Grillo was conscious to not give too much away, he was also forthcoming about the emotional, mental side of the characters and how they'll clash. So he says, "We do get into it. I'm not going to give anything away. It's an interesting thing about Peacemaker and his perspective about my son and what his feelings are about himself because of that." So we did get into some tangles, but I don't know that people are going to expect what's to happen. Now, I've got a theory about this in how, obviously, with Rick Flag Sr. coming into Peacemaker Season 2, they are going to get into a bit of a tangle, so maybe a bit of a fight. But what I think Frank Grillo is getting into here with how, but I don't know that people are going to expect what's to happen, is that they will figure it out. Because when he also says what Peacemaker's feelings are about himself because of that, they've already shown how Peacemaker didn't enjoy doing what he did to Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad, to the point of where it haunts him a little bit. And I think after their initial confrontation, I do think that they're going to have a conversation about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get some acting chops from John Cena, because he showed in Season 1 that he's so capable of that. And it really, he really breaks down, maybe in a conversation with Rick Flag Sr. And I don't know, I can just imagine it going that way. And Rick Flag Sr. could come around to being not an "it is what it is" situation, but, that happened. You guys were in that confrontation. Sure, it didn't have to happen, but like I can clearly see that this is eating you up. And with the tease of Peacemaker seeing his father at the end of season 1, you know, the kind of hallucination, if you will, I wouldn't be surprised if he's haunted by Rick Flag in the show as well. Like, I expect Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag flashbacks potentially, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he's haunted by the ghost of Rick Flag in season 2, and all of this just comes out in an emotional explosion with Rick Flag Sr. And I'm not saying that they're going to patch things up and be best buds, but I think there'll be some kind of, you know, catharsis that comes out of it for both characters. And now to get into the Batman Part 2. So first of all, let's start at the beginning of the story. So we had this user saying, James, it was reported a while back that Matt Reeves has already finished the script for the Batman 2. Is that really true? And I made a video about that, but at the time, I did say, even though that Entertainment Weekly article literally says, as I pull it up on screen right now, Reeves is now gearing up for the next movie sequel. The script is finished. He confirms, and everyone is preparing to start production next year. I did say that other articles at that time releasing with all of these Matt Reeves interviews coming out because of the Penguin, that they weren't saying that. They were saying that, you know, it was moving along. So James Gunn has given some clarity and said to this user, I think that report was well-intentioned, but it was mistaken. We are very much looking forward to it. So James Gunn, the co-CEO of DC Studios, who would know if the script is done or not, has confirmed that it's not done, despite, the reputable outlet Entertainment Weekly claiming otherwise a few weeks back. Now, we've got some amazing news with Robert Pattinson from The Hollywood Reporter here, saying Robert Pattinson reteaming with Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, filmmaker's latest movie. And I'm very excited about this because it's getting a stacked cast now. You know, Matt Damon, he's going to reunite with Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, and Zendaya in the movie. So, like, it's really shaping up to be something interesting. But at the very end of this Hollywood Reporter article, they say that the actor is due to return to Batman for Matt Reeves' sequel, and there was hope that it could shoot sometime next year. Those hopes remain in place, but nothing is close to being planned. And this technically lines up with what Matt Reeves said in very recent interviews that I've covered with him, like giving us some clues and teasers to part 2, the emergence of Bruce Wayne being concentrated on even more. But he was also asked about, when could we be expecting shooting and whatnot? And he says, well, I don't really feel too comfortable getting into that because, we don't know how the schedules are like aligning right now. And that makes sense with now knowing that the script isn't even done. And I've always told you guys that what I know about the Batman Part 1 is that it took 5-6 months of pre-production, building sets and all of this stuff to, launch into the movie. That happened during 2019, I believe it was. Do correct me if I'm wrong. And then it was done by like early 2020. And yeah, that's true. I just Googled it. The Batman started filming, like COVID stuff aside, January 2020. So yes, what I know is that they started around the summer of 2019. So what you have to bear in mind, and what I've been saying, is that with the pre-production for the Batman Part 2, is that they would have to start pre-production very, very, as in like right now really, to do several months of the pre-production kind of things, right? To then start filming, ideally, what I was predicting around May of 2024, so they could film for like 4, 5, 6 months, then get into post-production for a year, and then be out by October 2026. But this wouldn't happen, or isn't happening right now, when the script isn't even done. Again, I need to heavily emphasize, Gunn said this very recently, script isn't done, so they're not getting into that pre-production phase of building sets. Now, sure, you could argue that, okay, maybe the pre-production wouldn't take as long because, for the Batman Part 2, they've already got some things maybe from Part 1. I get what you're saying there, but there's still going to be new movie sets. They might have to rebuild some of the same sets like they did for the Batman Part 1. I don't think they would have everything already ready to slot together like a jigsaw puzzle for the second movie, saved and ready. So, even if you want to be generous and take that into account, it's still going to take a good 4 months, give or take, to do with the pre-production to then finally start filming on set, even with like the volume technology and everything they use. So now taking everything into account, you can see why I put that in the title. It was more of a question because I can't confirm that it's going to be delayed again or anything beyond October 2026. I'm not saying that. However, we do know as well that Robert Pattinson will be filming Christopher Nolan's new movie next year, because the studio has set a release date of July 17th, 2026. And we know that The Batman is tentatively releasing October 2026. I'm not trying to fearmonger here or be like, Boba said this means, oh my god, it's going to be delayed to 2027. No, I'm just trying to present you all of the facts that we know right now. Also getting into a bit of the understanding about the filmmaking process. And then you kind of look at what you have on your plate, and it's like, there's nothing really here, is there? Because technically there is nothing here. Sure, the script, I fully believe that they're very close to getting done, like what Matt Reeves said. Like, it's looking good, all of this good stuff. I'm hoping that the script will be done by the new year. And, you know, there's still, like, not major concern there if that happens, because what could really happen is that the script will be done in the next couple of months, even if that's a bit later than what we expected. Pre-production will be going ham. That could happen over, like, 4 months, give or take. Hopefully that will be done by May, like 5 months into 2025, and then they could start shooting the Batman Part 2, so long as there's no scheduling conflicts with Robert Pattinson's character, which, you know, we can't say that there will be, because one encouraging thing is that we don't know if he's having a huge role in the movie. Do you know what I mean? It could just be some shooting day. I'm not saying he's not going to be busy, but, like, just because Pattinson is filming this new Nolan movie with Tom Holland and Matt Damon and everything, it doesn't mean that he's going to be so consumed by that production that he won't be able to get into the Batman Part 2 come Mayish, or even if it bleeds over a bit into June. And just to interject here from Future Boba, the writer of the article that we were discussing was asked on Twitter, so is there any concern about the Batman being pushed? Well, Part 2 that is. And Justin Kroll says no. Script's still not in, and production was already being for later in year. Also, I don't believe the role is as big as Damon, Holland, and Hathaway, so from a schedule standpoint, it wouldn't really get in the way. So this is kind of what I'm saying right now. Even though my original production guess was around May for them to get the movie out in October 2026, as I just said, it could bleed into June or into the summer, and, you know, it could still kind of happen. But back to past Boba. And even with filming taking place there, they should still have filming done by the fall, or really, like, going into November, which will give them just under a year of post-production, which is what the first movie had, to get it out by October. But that is, like, really pushing it, by the way. So, like, worst comes to worst, I hope that if there is any delay that we could hear about in the next 3 months or something like that, I'm just going to put a broad spectrum on when we could hear an update like that. I don't think that means it has to go into 2027. They could still, with a year's worth of post-production, even if it started filming June next year, with everything taken into account, and this is just me spitballing here, roughly, after 4 or 5 months of shooting, after a year's worth of post-production and VFX and just polishing the movie in the editing process, maybe they could delay it just by a couple of months. Why push it back to 2027, like February or something like that, when you don't really need to? But then again, they have to take into studio release dates, and if they've got any other movies they want coming out at that time, and maybe when the movie would best perform. Maybe it could be March 2027 again, like the Batman Part 1. You get where I'm going with this. So what I want to say, final words on this, is don't freak out. I just wanted to present all the evidence. There's some light at the end of the tunnel with how they could still make it work. Or worst case scenario, a teeny, minimal, tiny delay. A little bit. A little bit. This isn't me saying there is going to be one, but worst case scenario, only a little bit of delay. Maybe. But, you know, that's what I've got for you. I really hope that it works out, because the Batman came out March 2022. I do not want to see the Batman Part 2, and yes, I'm sounding like an entitled fan here, releasing March 2027. Please just make it work somehow for October 2026. Worst case scenario, delay it till like November, December. I know I keep repeating myself at this point, but yeah. I guess we're just going to have to watch this space, because I think the main takeaway is Matt Reeves still hasn't finished the script. So that's everything I've got for you guys today, unless the blessing and curse strikes on this channel and you see future Boba, you know, that's always a possibility. So let me know everything that you're thinking about what we discussed in today's video. I really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much for all of the encouraging words on the channel, and, you know, hello to all the new subscribers. I hope you continue to enjoy the videos. I'm going to be here every step along the way, so if you could leave a like, that would be really, really awesome, because it does go a bit of a way in terms of promoting it through the algorithm. Check out yesterday's video just in case you missed it, but until next time, again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DCU and just DC Studios, I guess, in the next video. Goodbye.